Well, good morning, Uber Tuber Ubers everywhere, all high, low, everywhere you go. It's a short talk at the trailer park with an old guy. It's a Sunday morning, and don't ask me the date, but it's late in July, I know that. Yeah, went down and had a little breakfast today and stuff like that. And just having some weird thoughts today, and thought, well, man, why don't I just pass them on? I watched one guy, and this morning he was a retiree, and he was saying essentially that he has no friends, none, zero. He has acquaintances, people you can greet and say hi, stuff like that, but no friends. And I got to thinking about that yesterday. I was kind of down thinking about it, to be honest with you. I was like, yeah, how can I go so long in my life without a friend? I think the last time I had a real friend was like 1996. And as a boy, I had a couple of friends. Young man, maybe a few here and there, but the last 25 years have been pretty much a drought on that score. And I just got to thinking about it. That one of the things, now this is just the way my mind works. Okay, so take this and $5 to where. Uh, I got to thinking, well, maybe one of the things about loneliness that's basically it's like a lie. We carry lies around on the inside. One of the phony baloney features of loneliness is that it feels like I'm the only one. Okay, everybody else has friends, everybody else has close ties, everybody else has blah blah blah. I'm the only one. So there's a basic lie right at the root of this. And I got to thinking about it. There's this great little video I watched the other day. I think it was Trish Reagan had posted it, but I'm not sure about that. But it was an old Bob Newhart clip, and I really enjoyed it. He's supposed to be a psychoanalyst, and he's got this stupid billing thing. He only charges $5. I think it's for the first 5 minutes or something, and then he doesn't make change or something. At any rate, the woman starts going on and on about her psychological problems, and he says, well, here's what we're going to do. Just two words, stop it. Stop it. So she goes, well, this revolves back upon my mother and the way I was raised. He stop it. And every time she wants to jump into a kind of another layer of Freudian analysis, he just stop it. But there's a sense in which when we catch ourselves, when you catch yourself thinking, God, I'm lonely, man. This is so weird. Are there any friends anywhere? And you have people in the world who you at least could get along with, right? Theoretically, they exist. But this is part, I think, of the price of the Western civilization, which is currently being dismembered, dismantled, destroyed, and I don't know what the keen insight was among the elites, as they call themselves, I guess, to basically trash both Europe and the United States in terms of the economies, in terms of the money and the power. This what we're looking at here with the coming of the collapse of the dollar. Actually, it's already begun, but we are always the last to know this. Here on the ground where I am in southern New Mexico, it feels like normal. You can hear a rooster over there. There was a dog barking earlier. There's no sirens. It doesn't seem like anything has really changed. But the currency itself is basically junk. And we're looking at some real hard times coming up. Bad stuff happening. We don't feel it yet. So it's not real, yeah? And so that's what I was thinking about today, is that as we kind of peruse the news, here's a disgusting little item for you. I looked, and I don't really even want to know the details of this. But over in Paris, there was some sort of repugnant mockery of the Last Supper that some genius somewhere figured had a connection. A connection. What was the connection? To the Olympic Games, Last Supper. I don't ordinarily make that connection, but the mockery of it, and then had to do with some weird, like, I don't know, maybe this guy was supposed to be Pan or some devilish character. He's like blue, with a like an orange beard. Why? What was that? And so there's a lot of folks, good Christian folks, who are just outraged by this, that it's blasphemy and that it's mockery. And well, I would agree. But I think that there's a sense in which this is being put out there as the future for us, the future for us. And so in other words, you have false gods, you have false prophets, right? So take a look at what they're prophesying. Take a look at the false prophecy involved. But maybe it's true, see? What they're saying is, when you abandon and overthrow the Christian gospel, when you abandon and overthrow any mention or knowledge of Yahweh, the God who has named himself in this world, when you just check him out and stiff-arm him into Nowhereville, so what do you have? Well, you still have a spiritual principle, but it's evil spirits. What those evil spirits were saying in that ritual mockery thing was that the real food, the real nourishment is being removed. And they're replacing it, what, with a phony meal. Well, I thought, well, that is weird, because the same Western elites who are busy ruining things for profit are talking about having you and me eat bugs in the future. Because protein, all that protein from cows and stuff, it just ain't good for Mother Earth. And so the idea being, they're prophesying essentially famine. They're prophesying that the real food goes away. Well, that might actually be correct, but why would it happen? They caused it. So you end up with this self-caused loop here inside of these false ideologies, these idolatries. And I just wanted to kind of think about this idea a little bit. I've mentioned this to friends in the past, and of course everybody blows me off. But sometime when you get real bored, sit down and read the full tilt version of City of God, the unabridged version, by St. Augustine. And there's a little snippet in there that caught my attention when I was in my early 20s, and I've remembered it all these years. And this is the way it goes, is that, we in the modern world, now he wasn't talking to us, he was talking to his compatriots, but we in the modern world believe that our ancestors were functionally idiots, that they believed this is what we think, that they believed that they could take a block of stone or a block of wood or something and carve it and shape it, maybe put a little gold or sprinkle a little glitter on it or something, I don't know, and we could make our own God. Well, that's only about half the story. The real story is that there were these experts, we call them priests, of these faiths, these other pagan religions. What the actual goal was to use magic and incantation on their part, the priest's part, to chain down or bond or bind a spirit to an object. Maybe a rock, a stone, a place, a tree, something, to bond a spirit to that, and so you could get essentially answers. But remember, you're consulting a lying spirit. Consider the source. Well, so that's why when ancient people, our ancestors, went to a temple, a pagan temple, and offered sacrifices to the god, local, then they would inquire of the priest or priestess of, here's my problem, here's my situation, or my animals need to be fed, or whatever the problem was. And they would at least get answers. It's a little bit like a Ouija board. The problem with Ouija boards is that sometimes they do work, and that's not a good thing. And so essentially they were consulting with these demons, and so we're in a demon war right now, a spirit war. The Spirit of God and his holy angels and the saints versus the powers of hell and the corrupt religions of man. And so when we see these kind of things begin to erupt around us, we should not feel alone. If the dollar collapses, what are you going to do? Literally, what am I going to do? I don't know. But we do trust the Father. We do know that he holds the future. And so we're not afraid. We fear no man, we fear no devil, we fear no death, we fear no future. We fear God. I fear Yahweh and him alone. And as a result of this, we're freed to take action. We're no longer paralyzed by our fears, okay? Because that's kind of the game plan, is that the war out there, if you want to think about it, the spirit war, is to get as many believing people as possible sidelined. thrown off track, derailed, become forgetful of what the real issue is. We're in the middle of a war. Pay attention. Put on your helmet. And so there's a sense here. I got to thinking this morning that the easiest thing in the world would be to I'm just so alone, and then have a little pity party and blah 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 blah. And I think that the alienation that is so broad and widespread among us, I don't think it's necessarily true among other peoples who've retained more tribal or family values, or even national values. Right now, in America, loneliness or alienation, I would say, would be the norm. Just go into any public place. Are people interacting with people? By and large, no. And sometimes at a restaurant, you'll see a table of people, 3 or 4, who came in to eat together, who are individually perusing the interweb on their own. They're not talking to each other. That's a snapshot. But that's what we've built. We've built these little bubbles where, in my own little bubble, I don't have to deal with a big, bad, ugly world with all of its details. I can just sit over here in my part of the algorithm and watch. As an example, I like to watch these construction fails where huge tractors fall over sideways. Oops. Or giant cranes collapse. Oops. So you can retreat to your little algorithm patch and just tune out the real world, see? Well, that's a pretty bad answer. And so I think in the future, we're going to have to actually start talking human to human again. I know that sounds goofy. But what we're going to find, I think, is that everybody, basically everybody I would be willing to bet everybody I know fundamentally feels lonely. And they're afraid of the future, of what's going to happen. But nobody will say so. Those words are not on the table. That stuff's not negotiable. So it feels like, well, who do you talk to about these things? And there's prayer, right? You can talk to the Father about it. And I think that there's a sense here for me where if you feel like you're being panicked, or if you feel like you're being driven in a herd, then you should pay attention right about then and just stop and investigate this. Who's saying what, when, where, why? What's this about? As an example, with all this phony baloney nonsense going on in the DNC right now, who knows who their candidate is, and who cares? Because the Democrats will cheat in any case. It doesn't matter who their candidate is, and so they'll try their usual shenanigans and stuff like that. And the ugliness of the whole thing, it makes people feel like there's nothing I can do to fix this. There's nothing that one old plumber can do in southern New Mexico to get the corruption and fraud out of the DNC. Well, that would be a pretty major overhaul. But and so there's a sense of hopelessness that comes up, a sense of, well, what's the point? We can't do it. We can't change anything, right? You can change. You begin by changing on the inside. Take your basic attitudes that you assume about the world, reinvestigate them, analyze them, and find out, do I really believe that God just basically just kind of created this world and then walked off and said, I'll be back later? Or what? What is the idea that's driving a lot of our thoughts, our anti-God, our anti-Christ, our anti-Bible world out there, the progressives, as they call themselves, or the woke, as it is applied to them? What do they actually want in life? And what they want, as far as I understand, is power, influence, enjoyment of the senses, and basically it's a hopeless attitude. It completely denies and defies the afterlife. And the afterlife is a human idea. It doesn't matter what religion you come from. All people believe that after death there's some kind of continuing existence of the person I knew as, say, mom or sister who died, that there's something that continues about that person, and we would call it the spirit, the soul. And these are going to be reunited in the future by the command of Jesus, who will declare, stand up, and all of the dead shall arise. It's going to happen. It's future history. When they do, then there'll be a division among them, left and right, his sheep and his goats, some for life, some for destruction. And you don't want to be on the destruction side, friend. You just don't want to go there. So there's a sense in which, as I'm looking at the catastrophe which is brewing in Europe, with the war over there and the financial ruin which our own leaders are applying to us very soon, we need the hope of the resurrection, and we need the Spirit of Christ in us. And so, in other words, our marching orders haven't changed. The kingdom will expand. The name of Christ will be acknowledged. Evangelism will occur. The command to repent and believe will be heard around the world. Jesus' name will be lifted up, and every tribe on earth will have heard, by the time he comes, the call of the gospel word. So this is his idea. This was his plan. And his plan was to bring out of this chaos a people who originally were born in sin but have been changed, have been transformed, and are now working on another basis than the malicious garbage I inherited from my parents, and the idea that I'm going to somehow replace or equal God. That was the original temptation. So just thinking these things over some, when you feel lonely, here's the answer. You're not alone. You never have been alone. You're not alone now. You can't be. It's impossible. You can't get away from his presence. And that's a good thing. And so we need to rest in the presence, and we need to call upon his name in prayer, and we need to declare his truth in public, that he will not be mocked. You can try. They can try. But there will be judgment. And judgment, when it comes, you want no part of that. He is the terror himself. He is the holy terror himself. So I just was kind of mumbling about some of that stuff in my mind today, and I thought, yeah, I'm about to sneeze. Boy, I think I just lost 4 IQ points. But the thing is just before I go to church, I'm going to go in and get dressed up, take a shower. I might even trim my beard a little bit. Don't want to spoil these people. But I might go down and I just want to hear about Jesus today at church. I want to hear about his victory. I want to hear about how we're being joined into a new life which cannot end. I want to hear about the victory. Boy, here we go. Sometimes I wonder what I'm allergic to, because I'll sneeze several times like that, and then not for the rest of the day, or not for several days even. What was that? I don't know. But anyway, who cares about what I'm allergic to? The point is, I just wanted to encourage you some, and thank you for watching, and thank you for hanging in there with me, because let's face it, there are better shows out there than this thing. But when we have a chance to step back and think about it, what really matters, at least in my life, is that we are looking for a world that has meaning. We're looking for a life. I just want to just eat, drink, poop, sleep, and then die. No, we want our lives to mean something. We want to accomplish something, and he gives us that in the announcement of the kingdom. We can participate in the kingdom of light, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God. As he moves forward in this world, conquering hearts and minds, we can be a part of that. Maybe a little part? Yes, of course it's a little part. I'm one of those guys in the play who stands there holding a spear. Okay, at least I made it into the play. Well, we begin to participate as we are able, and so we can pray for each other. We can do good for each other. The community that we wish for, the friendship that we hoped was there, we're the ones to generate that and apply it to others, and then they will, to some degree, begin to respond. In other words, whatever it is you're lacking in your life, whether you think what I really need is a good friend, then be a good friend. What I'm lacking is security, then spread secure and true things, solid, rock solid truth, stuff like that. Okay, so if you find a lack, fill it. You're on site, you're on the job, you're the one who was trusted with this job to bring light into the corner of the world where you are. So better get started. No way better to get started than to find a good Bible believing church and go down, hear what they say, and contribute both any way you can, but contribute. I want to hear from you. The praise of the Son of God, that's what we're about. He's the source of our gladness. He's the source of our hope. He's the one who came and found us in the dark. So our message better be about Jesus, right? and mine is. At least I hope it is. So have a good day, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.